Hello everybody and welcome to Options Discovery on John Lothian News' The Spread. My name is Alex Tang and I will be your host throughout this series. And just like many of you, I am no expert in the options industry, but with the help from some, we can learn more about options together. In this week's episode, we're going to talk about the different types of firms that make up the options industry. From market makers to data managers, there are a ton of different firms that fill a ton of different roles within the industry. I also get to sit down in an interview with Allard Jakobs, the CEO of All Options, a market maker based in the Netherlands. Allard talks about his experience as a CEO running his own options firm, along with the qualities he looks for from the people that he hires. All right, so stay tuned for that and let's get straight into the episode. So the options industry is massive and supports a variety of different roles in a variety of different fields. Our goal today is going to be to introduce you to a few of the different kinds of businesses that make up the options industry and how each business intends to profit or make money. The first type of business that we'll talk about today is called a proprietary trading firm. Now, a proprietary trading firm is a firm that seeks to put its capital at risk by trading options in order to realize a profit, and does so through a proprietary trading strategy or methodology. Now, proprietary trading firms seek to take advantage of something called an edge. Now, in trading, an edge refers to a mathematical advantage earned over the market through their proprietary trading strategy. Now, these types of proprietary trading firms can either be independent or part of a larger company or institution. Okay, so another category of business that is important to the options industry is going to be companies that are looking to hedge their exposure in some sort of other underlying asset. Now, most of the time, these companies are outside of the options industry and their main business is focused somewhere else in some other industry. But they like to use options to protect themselves from some sort of exposure that they've realized through their course of business. Now, an example of this could be a portfolio manager that is looking to protect their stock portfolio from losses, or even an oil producer that's looking to lock in their revenue for the upcoming quarter. Options can be a great tool to use to protect yourself or hedge against some sort of undesirable outcome in the underlying asset. One of the most crucial businesses within the options industry is the options exchange. Options exchanges are companies that provide a centralized location for trading and also produce a variety of standardized options products for traders to trade on the exchange as well. Most revenue for the options exchange comes in the form of fees. Every time a trade is made, the exchange makes a fee. Exchanges also make money by providing and selling information services. See, exchanges have a visibility into the market due to the nature of their business that many other firms just don't have, so they can take advantage of that information to make money as well. It should also be noted that many options exchanges also facilitate trading for other derivatives such as futures at regulated designated contract markets that are also part of the exchange group. Another business that is important to the options industry is going to be the market maker, also sometimes referred to as the specialist as well. And a lot of proprietary trading firms can also be considered as market makers, so keep that in mind as well. Now, a market maker is essentially a liquidity provider that stands ready to buy and sell options at any moment in order to maintain the bid and ask price. Now, a market maker will provide this liquidity in hopes of making what is called the bid-ask spread. And the bid-ask spread is essentially the difference between the bid and ask price of the option, which is going to be the profit of the market maker. Okay, so we've gone over a lot of the main businesses within the options industry, but there are still a host of other companies and businesses that are crucial to the industry. And an example of this would be an organization like the OCC, otherwise known as the Options Clearing Corporation, which clears and settles every listed option trade in the country, and is an example of an organization that is crucial for the infrastructure of options trading. There are also a host of other organizations that are dedicated to serving the industry in a variety of supporting roles. A couple examples are options news and media organizations like ourselves here at John Lothian News, or even market data specialists or IT services organizations that help support the options industry and are becoming more and more important as the industry grows and evolves and requires a more robust infrastructure and ecosystem of supporting companies. Now that we know a little bit more about the options industry as a whole, let's sit down with someone that is actually managing one of these organizations, and that's going to be my next guest, Allard Jakobs, the CEO of All Options, a market-making based firm out of the Netherlands. Now, Allard has some great insights on the industry and what he looks for from the people that he hires. So stay tuned right now for my interview with Allard Jakobs. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Options Discovery. Today, I am here with Allard Jakobs of All Options. Allard, can you please introduce yourself, what you do at All Options, and your education and career background?
Right, hello. My name is Allard Jakobs. Like you said, I'm 54 years old. I founded All Options some 25 years ago, 24 to be precise, and I'm still the CEO.
Awesome. And then what is your educational and career background before starting All Options?
Right. So I started going to university when I was just 17. I was quite young, and I did a year of econometrics because at the time I thought that was the most difficult study, and indeed it was. I failed after a year, and I switched to economics. I graduated in business economics with a specialty in financial markets.
Interesting. And then before starting All Options, did you have other jobs where you were trading before, or how did you get into trading?
Yeah, so I started working in 1991, which was a really difficult time. And I started out as an analyst at James Capel. James Capel was a subsidiary, the broking subsidiary of the Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank in Amsterdam. And they hired me because I took the trouble of finding their own annual report at the Chamber of Commerce. So I that's what you're supposed to do as an analyst. So that's why they hired me, and I stayed there for a year. The day I accepted my job, I also got invited at a job interview with Optiver, and I declined that job interview. But then a year later, I returned to Optiver, and I started working there.
Interesting. And so when you started All Options, what was your drive behind starting your own trading firm?
So let me first talk about my career at Optiver. I think I was their 15th employee. I think today they have over 1,500. It's an incredible company. After a year, I made partner. I think I was number 11 or so. But in the end, I was a peculiar hire for them because I'm not that tall. And at that time, all trading was done on the floor. I'm 170. That is, for your viewers, 5'5" or 5'6", I think. And they were looking for really, really tall guys, but also ones that are very quick at calculus. I was that. So they hired me and they trained me to go to Germany, where was the first screen trading exchange. What is now called Eurex. So I worked there for 2 years. So first my year as a start, and then the second year I was partner. And then I left because I was not only small, I was also, I thought I knew things better than other people, which did not make me a very nice colleague. So I decided for myself, it's probably better if I'm the boss, if I know better. And yeah, that's what I did.
Interesting. Well, that's a very interesting background. I just have one question.
Yeah.
I guess just out of my own curiosity, why did they want to hire people that were taller back then?
Because of the floor trading, they wanted big guys. I did have a loud voice because I did rowing as a steerman. So I knew how to project, but in crowd trading, you need to be tall and you need to have a loud voice. But I only traded in Amsterdam for about a month.
Oh,
On
wow.
the floor, and then I went to Eurex, or the Deutsche Terminbörse, as it was then called.
Okay, got you. So that's very interesting because I guess in this day and age with electronic trading as prevalent as it is, it's just not something that you even think about.
I know. No. But basically, their selection process was not length. It was their calculus test and logical problem-solving test.
This next part where we're kind of going to be talking about a little bit more what attracts people to all options. So one of the first things that I wanted to ask you is kind of taking a little bit of deviation, but we'll get back to that topic. What does it take for you to be the CEO of all options, and how has your role changed from when you started the company over 24 years ago to where you are right now?
Well, that's a lot of questions.
Yeah, we can take it one at a time.
Yeah, so I feel I've reinvented all options a couple of times over the history. There's basically two strategies in which you can approach the market. You can believe the market is always right, and you trade a lot of volume at very small margins, trying to keep prices in balance, or you believe that you're smarter than the market. Then you don't do that many trades. You're often not right, though. The variance of your results is very high. You can hit it very big or not. Well, we have employed both strategies, sometimes at the same time, sometimes alternating. Right now, we're really at the stage where we believe we only have a very tiny edge over the pricing in the market. We think we do have an edge, but it's mainly about processing as much volume as we can, trading as many options as we can in a fully automated way.
Interesting. And so when you talk about reinventing the firm, can you kind of speak a little bit more to that point and kind of the different types of reinventions that you had to go through, or the different pivots that you've had to make along the way?
Well, one of your first questions was about my educational background. It's an economist. In the beginning, I would hire all economists, and I can tell you from my own personal experience, economists are pretty useless. What you need is, or these days, you don't need an opinion. You need to research. You need to drill things down. You need to take decisions based on data, not on what you think or whether the market's going up or going down. It's an important. You need to play a numbers game. In trading is by definition an opportunistic business. And we did so until 2006. We just looked at, okay, where can we make a bit of money? Where's a lot of trading? And we would start trading there, whatever it is. In 2006, we employed 40 people, all white, all male, all Dutch. Right now, we're very diverse. The only thing that hasn't changed is the average age of my colleagues, which is around 28, I think. I get a year older every year. When I started, I was, let me see, I was 22. Now I'm 54. But my colleagues somehow stay the same age. So that hasn't changed, but it's very international. It's, I would say, yeah, it's pretty diverse background. Very different from what it was. And right now it's totally not opportunity driven. We refuse to do crypto, for example. We only do one thing, and that is making markets in options. And we try to get better at it every day.
Now, when it comes to what makes a successful all options trader, you talked about how obviously your colleagues are a lot often stay young around that 28-year-old range. So what qualities make someone successful at all options as a trader?
Well, apart from the obvious ones that you need a master degree in some sort of quantitative science, you need to be curious. You need to be open, and you need to engage. You need to ask questions. That's the only way to learn, because that is really essential. It's not only learning. We very often, for our traders, it is almost always the first job. So more than a job, we try to offer an experience, which involves learning, becoming a better person, becoming more mature, because people are often, my colleagues are often very young, and it's learning to, it's a bit of a nerdy trade that we do. So we learn to communicate better, but also through the analysis, through experience in the market. It's learning, learning together, problem solving, and then on to the next, and improving, and also as a person, how to give feedback, ask for feedback, and basically doing things together. We do not have an internal competition for functions. We compete externally. We're quite aggressive, but internally, there's no such thing.
That's really interesting. So there's no compensation structure internally where people would feel like that they're competing against each other.
No, the compensation structure is well, there is a salary system, but way more important than the salary system is the profit sharing. So we share a large part of our profits, and that goes through a group pool, and your compensation, your profit share, is dependent upon the assessment of your performance, not how much money you make for the firm. We don't look at that. We look at how you perform on your targets, and you will be pretty much able to calculate how much your profit share. It's based on your function, not on how long you are with the company. It's based on the function and the assessment of your targets.
Yeah, and I think that kind of lends itself to what you were talking about earlier in terms of making decisions based off of the data. So you can see what your targets are. You can calculate everything beforehand. It's not a black box bonus structure, which is very interesting.
No, it's so in the end, I can put some discretion into the bonuses. It's a maximum of 20% of the pool. Last year, it was only 4% that I used, and that was to compensate the people in risk and compliance, which by definition cannot have a profit dependent bonus. So actually, so that shows me that the system works really well. There is no need to deviate from what we set out and what people can calculate what they will get.
Yeah, well, that's really interesting, and I feel like it's something that is very unique to the financial industry in general.
I think it's an asset. We've developed it over 30 years. I sometimes get new people in or outside hires who challenge the way we do this, and I give them a very hard time.
Obviously, as the CEO of All Options, you have to think about the entire business, and that also includes individuals that are not market facing or that are not trading. So what do you look for in those individuals, and how do they contribute to the success of the firm?
More or less the same thing. I would say so. Currently, we employ 80 people. I think around 45% of them are traders. Then we have people in risk and compliance. Quite a few people in IT, and there's also a few in support functions. And we're basically looking for the same thing. We share the same values of sharing our ideas, playing together as a team, and also people are to a high extent within a framework, of course, but to a high extent able to shape their own jobs.
That's interesting. What do you mean by that?
So if you think something is done in a way and you think you can improve it, feel free to do so. We challenge everybody not to take things for granted. well, we don't have long hours, but I would not say it's a 9 to 5 job. You're really encouraged to get better and to make the company better.
Yeah. That continuous development and feedback from the employees, that must be something that's very critical and has probably yielded a decent amount of successful improvements. Can you talk to any of those?
So if we look, I mentioned the KPIs that we have. A couple of, I think it was around 4 years ago, we've defined these KPIs, or these three of them, and we aim to get a certain margin share in Europe, and margin retention and coverage by the end of this year. And we made those targets. Actually, we exceeded. We're now what we do is not dependent on individual assessment of a trade. We try to get rid of all the micromanagement that is in the trading, and yeah, we basically we achieve our goals by taking decisions based on data. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but
No, it definitely does. I think one thing that I've gotten from this interview is that there's a lot of consistency throughout the principles that you employ and the people that you look for. Obviously, that curiosity, that data-driven focus is something that doesn't just need to apply to traders, but to everyone. And you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Absolutely, yes. And also we try, especially IT and or the developers and the traders, we try to have them as close together as possible, so that we have teams with people with different skill sets. It works way better than when you're in a team with people where everybody can do the same, where you have a couple of mini-me's. You can learn stuff from people that do other things rather than can do the same thing.
Yeah, and it almost seems like a lot of these principles resemble more of a technology firm than that of a traditional financial institution.
Well, I was recently discussing this with a friend of mine, and we're technology driven, but I would say it's more data driven, data analysis, than it's technology. We do not build FPGAs. We have no speed applications. So we're not competing in the market based on speed. But we are doing a lot of analysis. So I would say it's more data than technology. That, of course, that is close to each other. And I guess what we do is what every modern firm does. It's analyze your data and improve. And it doesn't matter whether you're brewing beer or you're a supermarket or some sort of travel app or a market making. That doesn't make a difference.
All right, everybody. I hope you learned a lot about the options industry from this episode, and maybe some of the skills that industry leaders are looking for from new hires. All right, well, that's going to be it for today's episode. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. If you're hungry for more options content, make sure to subscribe to the JLN YouTube channel and check out our social media accounts. Be sure to check out our website, johnlothiannews.com, Markets Wiki, and the John Lothian newsletter for more content.